Ken, that looks like a small glass of mud. What are you doing? Welcome back. So what are we doing today? Well, as you saw in the intro, we're going to make mud. Ultimately, it's going to be this much mud, 2 liters, also 4 1/4 cups, equal to. I'm going to drink that clay in this little glass, which is equivalent to roughly 100 milliliters or a half a cup. And why am I going to drink that clay, roughly half a cup, 100 mils, roughly? Why am I going to drink that in such a small glass? Well, one, you're going to end up with some grit. So when I drink it until it's about this much left, and then I swish back and forth to make sure all that clay goes down. Okay. Now, right now, I'm using a Canuck clay. It's a glacial clay. It's not a volcanic clay. And all I can say with these clays is, one, make sure they're food grade. And the second part of it all is make sure that they show third-party testing. Is this mud just literally mud with some glyphosates in it? I don't want that. So again, what do? Well, here I normally have 50 mLs of clay per liter. Okay, so for this jar is 2 liters, then there's going to be 100 milliliters. My clay comes in these jars, metal lids, glass jars, with a label that you can remove. Yay! So what do? I fill this about 750 milliliters. I put the 100 milliliters of clay in there using a sifter, okay? And then keep stirring the water so it keeps moving, and then sift. It takes a little while. You can just go ahead and dump the whole thing in if you want, because hopefully you've got 2 of these pickle jars, 2 liters, and you can have these working out in stages, okay? So, okay, so why are we doing this? Well, 2 reasons. One is detox. We have an ongoing problem with detoxing. So we have to be careful about relying on other things. We need to reintroduce some of those things that would have happened. You remember years ago, because I remember raiding gardens, this was before all of the chemicals and such, and our gardens were just natural. Okay, but the carrot and a lot of dirt with it. Okay, so when I'm mixing that, 750 mils, put the clay into it, use a whisk if you need to, stir it up, shake it up, let it sit for, I don't know, I usually let it sit. Say I do it in the morning, I'll deal with it before dinner time. Then I'll just add the rest of the water. Again, give it a good vigorous shake. I won't drink any of this for a minimum of 1 day. I'm going to give you an example of why you have to hydrate your clay. Don't take this stuff raw, guys. The reason is you don't want to be robbing liquid from your body, just like when the kids used to take those dried soups, those, what do they call them, Ichiban soups or whatever, the dried noodle things, right? Just add water. And they used to take them and I crunch away at them. And if they ate them too quickly, then the moisture from the body was swelling these noodles all up and getting into the small intestinal tract, of course. Ow! It hurts, right? Again, the formula is 1 liter of water for 50 mLs or 10 tablespoons of clay. So we use it for 2 things. We use it for the detox. I prefer to take it at night. I have no medications or anything at that time. So I take that for the detox. Now, a lot of people will take this in the morning. I could take it in the morning because my first meal isn't usually until about 11 o'clock. I like to stay fasted for a longer period of time. So my eating window is try to be in that 8-hour window maximum on either edge. Now this next one can be a little bit of a tricky one to figure out unless you're actually going to go for a lab. And I've heard that you will need to take multiple labs to confirm this. Okay, so there's two things that could be going on. One called BAM, bile acid malabsorption. The bile that you put into your body, I won't cite the percentage, I'm not a doctor, a good portion of that gets reabsorbed and put back through the body. Okay. If you're not reabsorbing it properly or overproducing it, or the bile is leaking, in other words, bile normally only triggers when you eat, but if it's leaking or you've had your gallbladder removed and it's leaking, all of this type of thing can lead to very, very loose stool. Okay, but here's the caveat. Is it bile acid malabsorption, or is it a fat intolerance? If you can't break down the fats properly, you might simply be racing the slippery slope, as it were, for that stool to get out. So it can take some time to figure this out. So I believe you need to work with a professional, and I also believe that you need to do some of your own working through this, because the more information that you can take to your doctor or your naturopath or whomever you're using to get that lab work done, they will need as much data as that they can get. Please don't rely 100% on labs. Labs are a window, right? So don't rely 100% on that. So for BAM, you need to take the clay as many times in the day as you need, but don't give yourself massive constipation. Start slow, start slow, start slow, and work your way up. It will also take time for this to build. Just like a medication often takes time to build into your system, and then they will want to redo your labs in 6 months and find out, okay, we can move that back a little bit because the body is utilizing it better. Or in the case of BAM, maybe a little bit of healing has happened where it's supposed to be reabsorbing, and then it takes care of itself. You're probably still going to have, from what I read online, people still have to be on it permanently. The basic rule is take this a half an hour, preferably an hour before you eat. And the reason that I say half an hour, 45 minutes, the reason I say that is it's going to be gritty, and you might have grit in your teeth until you kind of learn how to close off your cheeks when you're swallowing. So what I was having to do was chase it with a couple of more of these. Now the problem was that if I was using, say this jar, and I was, drinking half of this down, then I still had the grit. And so then I needed more water to wish it down, and then I wasn't eating enough food to get the nutrients that I should have, right? Okay, so there you go. That's it in a nutshell. I hope that works out for you. This is the fully hydrated version, and I've got the other jar still soaking. Okay guys, later. I love doing these videos.